Yo, these are 10 WWE. Let me read that again. This is our 10 changes that must be made to WWE 2K26. Only thing I can think about is the island, man. The island mode, that's too hard, man. When it comes to superstars being released on my faction and stuff like that, I'm good on that front because I got what's the status to upload it like a day or 2 days later. So it's not a big deal for me. Anyways, let's get into it.
WWE 2K is a good series. It came back strong after that nightmare a few years ago, and some of the new modes in 2025 were well received. Fans seem to like the island to a point, and of course old favourites continue to develop. My GM is the hardest thing in the world, but hey, it pushes your nerd brain. Over the last few months though, there's also been a demand for additions in 2026, so let's try and manifest those, I suppose. Or laugh at how ridiculous the ideas are. Both are good. Number 10, more celebrity wrestlers. Now that may sound like an odd choice, but if WWE 2K is going to follow the television product as close as possible, yeah, you gotta get the whole gambit in, which these days includes all the celebrities who pop in for a fight. And yes, I know adding the crew of the Pat McAfee show was strange. I suppose we should just ignore it. The benefit, though, is that because people like Tyrese Halliburton were included, WWE 2K was name-dropped during the NBA Finals, which not only gets outside promotion, but could encourage more people to play. It's never a bad thing. The more popular it is, the more extras you're gonna get. There's new ways to do this in 2026 as Jelly Roll has to be a shoo-in, as does iShow Speed. That dude's following is insane, and at least it also means if they do make more appearances on television, it makes more sense. You may as well tighten the kayfabe as much as possible. And I'm not saying you have to go crazy. Taylor Swift doesn't need to turn up, although nobody could afford that anyway. So yeah, keep it sensical. But if this is what WWE is going to do, and you're a simulation of WWE, copy it and make sure it's to your benefit and beyond. Number 9, WWE's version of Road to the Show. As we know, WWE 2K is an annual release. Issues come attached to that. You always run the risk of fans feeling like it's just an updated roster and slight visual increase, whereas the core experience is the same. Games are expensive too. The audience has to feel like it's worth the cash. It feels like 2025 did that with the island and the return of my GM, but now we gotta push on. It's where we look at Major League Baseball's The Show because, yeah, the Road to the Show mode allows somebody to create their own character, go through high school, college, and the MLB draft. And it's the minors before you hit the big time. Good grief, it's not easy. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a grind, to be honest, but it's compelling in a very odd way, like World of Warcraft. And sure, My Rise is sort of like this, but it more often than not focuses on your WWE journey, where you could go into much greater detail. Maybe you start as an amateur in college, including a new gameplay mechanic to match that. I get that requires serious resources, but again, we only get a new one every 12 months. Sometimes you gotta think outside the box. Of course, the indies would be next, and with the ID system, surely some promotions would be up for being included for a nice injection of cash, and Road to the Show also lets you change position. Do the same in wrestling. You bulk up and go from high flyer to beast monster. Why not do an eating minigame too? I mean, I'm serious. There'd be the chance to experiment as babyface and heel as well, and I just think with the right personality, it would be super fun. That is the point. Maybe you even go proper inside baseball, pun intended, and show a wrestler learning how to deal with backstage politics. I'm sure some of you will say that's too far, but we've got WWE Unreal on Netflix these days. What's the flubbing difference? It just could tie into this crazy dual world that WWE exists within. I mean, you want the matches, but there's always more to the life of a wrestler. We could try and showcase it all. Number 8, online tournaments. Name the game. Even GTA 5 has online tournaments, and while of course you can head to the internet with WWE 2K at the moment, there really could be more options. I mean, you can have some sort of a tournament, but why not go all in? I mean, most fans are smart and they will use Reddit or something similar if they do want to elevate these, but I just think you should have a sit down and put them in the game proper. I mean, why the flub not? Everything you should want should be right there on some sort of online menu, and that way you can drum up even more interest for the fights you want to do. Then we could start adding official filters for skill levels or even stipulations. I think eventually it could take on a life of its own. And yes, I want to make it clear there was a much bigger focus on online modes in 2025, but it just feels like you could take it a step further. That's going to be the future of the series anyway, until one day there's a whole backstage environment to explore with real players taking up the other spots. Like The Sims, but for WWE, we can but dream. I just think you want to make sure that anything that anybody could do on WWE television can be replicated in the game, as I start to repeat myself, and you know the deal with wrestling companies. When all else fails, do a flubbing tournament. Number 7, bring back Road to WrestleMania and make it super weird like last time. It's also an old mode, so fans will get excited about it, and go look at SmackDown vs. Raw 2009. The Road to Mania stories were insane, including Edge and Christian breaking the fourth wall, and The Undertaker literally possessing his opponents. You used to be able to throw in creator characters to this as well, so that could be on the menu. But even if it isn't, pick a Raw, SmackDown or NXT wrestler, and then just see their journey to WrestleMania. Imagine you could choose what level you wanted to enter in at as well. You don't have to be the main event, you want to be the dude that's in match 3. How does that play out? Given the audience will remember how insane these narratives were, you could go right back to that as well and just make things so different. Maybe WrestleMania happens on the moon. I'm not saying that WWE 2K is overly serious, but you can always have more dumb fun. I can sum it up in 4 simple words: goofy wrestling for life. Number 6, add tag team gauntlets. I think now visual concepts have basically added most match types you could hope for. Special guest referee was back this year, plus we got bloodline rules and underground fights. All of these appear on television. Now, unless you want a House of Horrors match, which was very much a one and done for WWE, there aren't many left, but the tag gauntlet is an outlier. We don't have that. Surely this has to be coming because WWE has done a few of these on TV recently, so they're relevant, and as ever, if you do that, bam, fans want it in the game. I mean, do you remember the New Day's gauntlet journey before WrestleMania 34? There's a whole potential story to that, and earlier in 2025, we got a women's version to determine number 1 contenders for the tag titles. It would be super fun for online play too, and means you can throw in multiple players with no extra hassle. I suppose this one comes down to making sure we tick every box, but this feels simple. You already have familiar modes in the game, just need to open up the option for this. I think they'll do it too. Why have an obvious missing hole? Number 5, add debuting stars faster. So I get the demand for this. Wrestling is an ever-changing sport and you want that feeling replicated in the game. It is super tough though. Game development is not easy. It's good to keep that in your brain. With that said, WWE 2K is very keen to push the current roster and downloadable content throughout the year, so if there is a way for them to be up to date with the TV, yeah, you should do that. The issue some fans have is 2K25, as of me talking, has been out 5 months and yet Phoenix and Rusev aren't in it. You've also got the fact that WWE now works with TNA and AAA, so yeah, now the desire for Joe Hendry and Vikingo is there too. The audience loves that stuff. We do got to remember that Visual Concepts is also working on next year's entry, so a line has to be drawn somewhere. I'm sure they'd also like new names to shout about when promoting the next game comes around, so maybe there's a balance to be had. Ultimately, the audience just wants to play as their favourite wrestler as soon as they fall in love with them. Something to think about. It's another reason why there was backlash to the Pat McAfee crew. We got them, but not Rey Fenix. That's wild. Number 4, the future of the island. In case you don't know, WWE 2K's The Island mode is based off NBA 2K25's The City. I'm sure that's why it did get greenlit, because it makes sense. It works over there, so why not in wrestling? It is a solid idea too, but I'm sure you've seen the reaction. Fans did like the concept, but felt like the microtransaction structure was too much. You've got to spend a lot of money to get the most out of it. Welcome to games in 2025. Now, this isn't me throwing stones at microtransactions either, because they can be incorporated in a good way. Again, it's also an industry-wide thing, so you can't just criticize 2K for including it. At the same time, balance is important, and this tips the scales. It can be a little bit much. My faction is actually a better way to do it, and that exists alongside the island, which eventually becomes a grind. A tiered reward system is always preferable, or at least a function where players feel rewarded. Don't have to reach for your checkbook. Of course, future interactions could address this, and let's not also forget that if 2K has looked at the numbers and seen players are actually spending the cash, then yeah, they're gonna continue. It's a weird analogy, but it's a bit like WWE ticket prices. If they continue to sell out, then they price those correctly. Worth is up to the individual. I do hope the industry as a whole does wise up to this though. I mean, it's doubtful, but yeah. It's not the greatest concept games have ever taken on. Number 3, a reworked GM mode. Before WWE 2K22, fans were desperate for the return of My GM mode. Makes sense. It was great, so when it went away, we were sad. Come 2025 and we were dancing in the rain because we got online seasons too, so we are evolving. But now it kind of feels like we need a new shift again. Maybe My GM has become a little repetitive. Because if we were to include True Rule Rumbles and Money in the Bank matches, that would be a nice plus. And you could also have brands fighting to get that briefcase on their show, and also compete who gets the proper WrestleMania main event. There should also be huge financial rewards for this. There could be an option to have an in-game lobby of players that wanted to join a session too, and there's smaller changes out there as well. You can have larger budgets to increase a brand's roster size and throw in more curveballs. That way you keep the audience guessing. Thankfully my GM is pretty good regardless, but as discussed, the more we can evolve this series the better. You want to make it feel as fresh as possible, like that flipping bread. Number 2, more focus on NXT talent. Let's just talk about how NXT is in 2025. It's WWE's third brand. Of course you do see developmental wrestlers on there, but you've got Ethan Page, Blake Monroe, Ricky Saints. They could all be on the main roster tomorrow. Even somebody like Trick Williams. If NXT was still there for reps and experience alone, he would have been called up ages ago. That's why he was included in 2K25 to begin with. The man's a star. Therefore, let's treat it the same in the flipping game. Some of WWE's best are housed in NXT, and Visual Concepts did get Jordan Grace and Stephanie Vercaer in the latest entry. It's a great start, but there's other issues too. Why on earth are Obafemi and Trick ranked the same as Pat McAfee? I like Pat, but this is what I mean. We've got to turn up the dial. Even in my rise, the NXT guys always get punked out by the main roster, so I suppose let's have more fun with it. Nothing wrong with the approach now, but there's more we can do. So yeah, do that, and make sure you paint the NXT roster as a bunch of badasses. Or idiots? Depends on the story. Number 1, showcase time objectives. Alright, we're at the end, so let's get niche. Showcase mode has been a fun addition for a while as you get to relive classic matches from yesteryear. You get objectives to trigger famous moments, and yep, some of these are timed. And I do understand this. It's because 2K wants to add an element of challenge to the thing, which makes sense. But still, my name is Simon Miller, and please give me the option to turn this off. For I am a nerd and a loser, you see, so sometimes I'm more than happy to play through these for the experience alone. Also, I'll admit sometimes they are so difficult, I want to take my controller and throw it out the window. I'm too old for that now. I mean, the money in the bank objectives made me want to cry. And I get you don't want to remove them entirely, and I'm likely the problem here, but the truth is, some people do just want to have fun. Cyndi Lauper told us that. Sometimes too, I just want to zoom through Showcase to see what matches were chosen, and if something is timed, it is going to be hard regardless of what difficulty setting you choose. And yes, look, I doubt this will happen or that it should be a priority for 2K, but you can't blame a man for trying. Well, you can actually. That's what the comments are for. So please do go down into that box and leave me some words right now before you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. And if you would like to tell everybody what you want in the new WWE game, well, now you should. Otherwise, my friends, thank you for joining me as always, and I will talk to you again very soon.
Alright, thank y'all for watching. I was clearing some space on my iPhone.